Hi, I'm Bram and this is what's happening in your world today. Mayor David Miller plans to start a $42 million overhaul to Nathan Phillips Square. Mayor Miller says that the square has been allowed to get tired for over 50 years and that it's time for some change. The planners of the reconstruction state that the square is incredibly important as a public space and that the square is due for some revitalization. The upgrades will include a permanent stage, a two-story restaurant, a skating pavilion, and a new fountain. The area will also be given a much greener look with a border of trees and a garden terrace. The project is predicted to be complete by 2012. With over 1.5 million visitors a year, the square is clearly a vital part of Toronto tourism. Mayor Miller predicts that these numbers will skyrocket after the construction is complete. Now let's check in with Justin and his breaking news concerning the new nuclear arms pact.
Hello. On April 8th, President Obama and Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev signed a major nuclear arms pact. This pact is titled the New START Treaty and will replace the former pacts of START 1 and START 2 in the Treaty of Moscow, which was planned to expire in 2012. The pact will limit the amount of nuclear weapons and nuclear weapon delivery devices that each country is allowed to have to 1,500 and 1,000 nuclear delivery devices. The U.S. currently has roughly 6,000 nuclear warheads. Russia currently has 3,000. The pact is the turning point in the United States' plan of lowering the stockload of nuclear weapons in the world. The video on the right shows the pact being signed.
All right, if you're just joining us right now, you're looking at President Barack Obama as well as Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, and they are signing many documents. What it is the new START Treaty, and it's an agreement between the two nations to shrink the nuclear arsenal, the strategic arsenal, to about 1,500 warheads over the next decade or 7 years. That still, of course, would allow for the mutual destruction several times over, but it also is sending a signal to the world about non-proliferation. It's something that the president hoped to do. And it is no accident that this is taking place in Prague, where a year ago he gave a speech about eventually hoping to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And we're seeing at least a part of that in action right now with this agreement that, as Michael Levy from the Council on Foreign Relations has been talking to us about, it hasn't really been easy to come by. As Ed Henry told us, 10 phone calls, 5 face-to-face meetings to get to some agreement. What were the biggest hang-ups in finally coming to this day?
Well, it has been.
Now off to Bram Levitsky, who's covering the provincial drug conflict in Ontario.
Thanks, Justin. Ontario plans to further reform the prescription drug system to provide better access to lower-cost generic drugs for patients, while continuing to increase annual funding to the drug system as a whole. The changes will also include ensuring pharmacists are fairly compensated for helping patients and supporting access to pharmacy services in rural communities and underserviced areas. In 2009, generic drug manufacturers reported paying pharmacy owners more than $750 million in professional allowances, with pharmacy owners themselves revealing that 70% were used for rebates instead of patient care. Today's announcement builds on steps taken in 2006, when the government introduced changes that lowered generic drug prices to 50% of the price of the original brand-name drug, and helped fund access to 150 new prescription drug products. Now back to Justin Herlick and his coverage of Parliament's plan to add new seats.
This is the same story we heard 3 years ago. Stephen Harper's Conservative government is planning on changing the number of seats in the House from 308 to 338. This new bill would give Ontario 18 new seats, nearly double proposed in the 2007 plan. Alberta would receive 5 and British Columbia 7. It has not been announced, but is speculated that the seats added to Ontario would be in the 905s in rural areas where Conservative government has strong support. He also plans on changing the formula for population representation for the first time since 1985. If passed, the changes likely would not be implemented till 2014. Although this is a change to the Constitution, it does not require every province to pass it. Now off to Turtle Cove's new single, Droppin' Nukes.
Yo.
So this is how we started in the Cold War, when the Russians and Americans were in an uproar. So both the superpowers made a final decree: I'm gonna drop some fucking nukes on your motherfucking country. So people went crazy, they were running in fear, saying, watch out bitch, the apocalypse is here. So after all these years of talking up smack, no nukes were fired? What's up with that? Russia and the US had conflicting ideologies over forms of government, communism or democracy, and both countries wanted the other to choose, either full out war or you follow my rules. So the world was in crisis, wondering what to do, but an answer came up: an arms race will pursue. So the A-bombs were built without a real plan. They were sitting on a powder keg till the shit hit the fan. And as things heated up, people wondered what would go down. After atomic devastation, who would wear the crown? Do I follow the rules of a right and just democracy, or bow down my head to this communist bureaucracy? The victor of the war would choose to shape the world after the battles were fought and the whole planet was swirled. But what kind of place would the world be after nuclear war? I can tell you one thing: cleaning up would be a chore. Other countries were brought in to simulate the fight, forming groups like NATO that would make the war in sight, until the whole planet was looking at another world war. But we had just gone over 2. What was next? 3 and 4? So the pressure built up like a bubbling pot, and then we had the Korean War, which sure did make things hot. Plus we had the Vietnam War and the Cuban Missile Problem. There were better answers than nukes that we could use to solve them. So America stepped up and doubled all their strengths by increasing military spending without links. The US used diplomatic and economic pressures to force the USSR to use drastic measures. But they couldn't keep up with economic stagnation. The USSR was facing total damnation, so they finally collapsed in the year 1991, leaving the US with the biggest atom guns. So there was a sigh of relief. Thank God the war is over, but apparently America gave Russia the cold shoulder. So just as quickly as they got it, people lost their calm in fear of Russia's newly inherited atomic bombs. And again the worry started over nuclear war, but nor America or Russia wanted to open up that door. So year after year they signed some missile pacts, and they throw away their nukes in honor of a peace act. But the threat still remains of atomic annihilation, so they keep up the ruse of missile persuasion. And what does this mean for the future of nuclear war? Just watch your mouth to avoid settling a score.
Thank you, that was Justin Hurlick signing off. Fresh News.